1911 platform 45 ACP. Is it safe to carry, or are you putting yourself in danger? Today on Average Guy Gun Reviews. Hey guys, thanks for tuning into the channel. This is Mike with Average Guy Gun Reviews. And today we're going to see what we can do about dispelling a few myths with regards to carrying a 1911 pistol. Okay guys, for this demonstration we're going to be using my Rock Island Armory full-size and 45 ACP. This is a Series 70 single action only 1911 pistol. Before we get started, for safety's sake, we're going to do a full safety check of the weapon. There is no magazine in the well, as you can see. Additionally, when we lock forward, we're going to look and verify there is no round in the chamber. This weapon is clear. Okay? So, let's get started here. Myth number 1. The 1911 is not safe to carry in the cocked and locked position. Here's why this is a myth. The Browning Corporation, specifically, I believe his name was John Browning, if I'm correct, designed the 1911 pistol to be carried in this fashion. This is exactly how the weapon was intended to be carried when it went into military service. Okay? Cocked and locked. Now, why do you ask would that be? Very simply put, this is a single action only semi-automatic pistol. Single action only refers to the operation of the trigger and hammer. The hammer has the single action of hitting the firing pin, which is located right there, when you squeeze the trigger. When you squeeze the trigger with the hammer forward, nothing happens. The hammer does not come back and then slam forward when it breaks free from the sear. That would be a dual action. Okay? So a single action only means that that hammer has to be cocked in order for this weapon to be fired. Now when it gets fired, the slide comes back, knocking the hammer back into the full cocked position. It comes forward, thus loading the next chamber into the round, and the gun is ready to fire again. Okay? So with that covered, the 1911 pistol is designed to be carried in the quote-unquote cocked and locked or condition 1 position. Myth number 2. If the 1911 is dropped on its back, it's going to fire. No. Just simply no. I understand it's an old design that came about in the year 1911, hence its namesake. But you have to keep in mind that even back then, weapons had to be able to pass a very strict, grueling torture test in order to be considered for military service, which this gun was. John Browning designed the gun in such a way that it can be dropped without firing. Even with the safety off, it can drop without firing from a certain height or certain distance. I don't know offhand what that height is, but I can tell you this, that I've seen numerous tests done myself where 1911s were straight thrown out of third-story windows. They've landed multiple times on the back of the beaver tail or on the top, and they didn't fire. The beaver tail and the hammer would break off, just completely break off of this weapon, prior to this weapon firing around negligently. Myth number 3. Carrying the weapon with the hammer cocked back is more dangerous, because if the safety happens to be accidentally knocked off and the trigger gets snagged inside your holster, you'll end up shooting yourself. Wrong, and I will show you why. Okay? Mind you, keep in mind, this weapon is cleared. There's no round in that chamber. There's no magazine in the gun, so it is a clear and safe weapon. You put your weapon in the holster, okay? You're jostling around, safety drops off. This trigger will not fire that weapon while the gun is loaded into the holster, and I will show you why. See, that firing pin isn't dropping. Do you know why? Because the beaver tail safety on the back of the gun that your hand grips and disengages when you're drawing and aiming your firearm is not activated. See, it won't fire. But when this is pressed down, it's able to fire. The gun was designed with the two external safeties. The swing up tang safety, if you will, versus the beaver tail safety. The other interesting thing with this gun is with the hammer forward, you can't engage the tang safety. There's no need for it. It's only when the hammer is back that the tang safety is able to be engaged. But otherwise, like I was saying, you can't accidentally fire this gun unless that tang safety on the beaver tail has been disengaged, as well as the thumb operated safety. This weapon is just as safe to carry in condition 1 as any other firearm on the market. As a matter of fact, it has more fail-safe safety features than your standard Glock 17. As you can see right here, put a little light in there, magazine well's empty, and the chamber is also empty on this weapon. It's also a safe gun. Now, if you notice here, I'm going to show you why this weapon is technically a safer weapon than the Glock, okay? This weapon has more user-activated safeties than this one does. Cocked and locked with the safety disengaged. It won't fire. You have to disengage the grip safety in order to fire the gun. Cocked and locked, right? There's no physical safety for the thumb on the back of the tang, okay? But the weapon fires. Let's try that again. There is a safety on the trigger, meaning if that isn't disengaged, this little flap is not disengaged, it won't fire. But still, you don't have to have an actual grip properly on the weapon to be able to fire it. You can literally push the trigger while not properly holding the gun, and it will fire if there is a round in that chamber. That's why we had a lot of instances of the myth that Glocks are unsafe to carry, because when you're reholstering Glock, you'll shoot yourself in the leg. Okay? It was due to improper holsters being used that would snag that trigger when you're reholstering the weapon. That's why you have to have a properly fitting holster for your guns, guys. But either way, a 1911 pistol is just as safe of a firearm to carry as anything else. With regards to user-operated safety mechanisms, it is safer than a Glock. Thank you for your time, and have a good day.